Cities such as London employ economic incentives to encourage motorists to take public transportation or make trips during non-peak travel times. The funds raised for these pricing schemes are used to improve and expand public transportation. In 2007, a similar congestion pricing proposal was made in New York City, which ultimately failed in the state legislature. So I'll ask each of the three of you the following questions. For Councilmember Sears, in 2008, you voted against the congestion pricing proposal. If elected, would you continue to oppose this type of policy? And for Mr. Drum and Mr. Calathera, what is your impression of the congestion pricing proposals, and are they something you would support if elected to office?
Congestion pricing introduced by Bloomberg. If he's going to introduce, I hope he won't be the next mayor unless Helen Sears support him. But even if he's going to introduce, I'm opposing that. The whole thing, there are good points and bad points. He say, I am the king, I'm going to put everything in my way, everybody follow. I don't agree with that. There are a lot of good things in the congestion pricing program, but at the same time, there are a lot of bad things affecting the suburban neighborhood like Queens, Brooklyn, and Bronx. So that is why it was defeated. And if he's going to introduce the same legislation or same idea, I'm going to oppose, because it is going to affect the residents of Queens, Brooklyn, and Staten Island. I don't know, Helen Sears, I hope she's going to oppose. But I'm going to oppose. She's not going to get elected anyway. So I'm going to oppose.
The reason that I opposed congestion pricing was because, in direct opposition to the mayor had no plan for municipal garages. The one in Long Island City was being torn down. It was not being replaced. We are the transportation hub of Queens. You know who gets affected with congestion pricing? Are all the homes around here and on 34th Avenue. Driveways have cars in them and they cannot get their cars out. That issue, discussed with the mayor, was never addressed. Conceptually, he did not even put an idea on there. We have the best transportation hub here, there's no question about it. We use the subway, it's the best way to get around. However, our residents cannot get their cars out of their garages. There's double and triple parking. They take up all the spaces. Remember, all these apartment buildings, very few have garage space. Most of them have to park their cars on the street. And around here, and in my office, are the complaints about people not being able to get out of their driveways. So we need to look at more garage space, as well as people using, when they come from the island, they drive their cars. And they want to use our transportation hub. And it is right. We should maintain and sustain a viable subway system. The fact is, you cannot forget the community. We cannot forget that people live here. They have cars. And as was said, it's very difficult for people to give up their cars. We have people who work at night, night workers. As a result, in order to introduce congestion pricing again, and I'm not opposed to that, I wish to see more things on the table that protect Elmhurst and protect Jackson Heights. It is my responsibility to do that. Thank you.
Okay, this is an area also where I have a little bit of disagreement with the council member. I do believe that the priority has to be on a sustainable mass transit system. And the people who live in this neighborhood who have a car have the luxury of having a car. And I think that the priority has to be placed on the mass transit system. So I do support some form of congestion pricing, road pricing, that would help to alleviate the burden on the MTA in terms of having a sustainable mass transit system. Now, if that form is going to be in the form of congestion pricing, as the mayor spoke about, there were some problems with that. I felt that sometimes it would have been cheaper for some people who were taking express buses in from Flushing to drive into Manhattan rather than to take the express bus. And there were little inequities that needed to be ironed out in that plan. But those things can be worked out. There are other ways that we can do it as well, with a gas tax or tolls. I think that all of those things are things that need to be looked at. And I think what we have to make sure that people understand and people need to learn is that the emphasis and the priority must be on the mass transit system in the neighborhood. And by the way, the majority of people in this neighborhood probably do not have cars in this neighborhood. And that's why I make that such a high priority here.